Dearest Ipshita, Radhika and I are really, really very sorry that we can't be with you and all of you at this time, at this important moment to celebrate Anamitra's life. I can't tell you how much I loved that boy. I knew him for so many years, and he just got better and better. In fact, from inspiration became admiration. I just still remember him the last time I saw him sitting on the sofa across from me in our little room in Archana. He'd been through so much and he was so positive. He was smiling. He was looking at new things to do, pushing himself. I mean, I just looked at him and I thought, man, what a great human being. Anamitra was a really, really special person. Always happy. And I can tell you, it's not just me who said that. I've asked so many people. Everybody loved Anamitra.
I remember my old friend and colleague Anamitra Chakladar with great warmth. It was a wonderful period in Indian television when we were all part of NDTV, and one of the reasons it was one of the best periods of my life as a professional was because of the friendship with my video journalists, and Anamitra was one of them. The thing that always stood out to me about Anamitra, or Chakla as we called him, was he was always smiling and he talked a lot. So he was never short of a word or two. I never saw him depressed. He was always full of energy, fun, and the odd joke or smile. Even when we were covering the attack on Parliament that fateful day in December 2001, and bullets were ringing around, and I think one went through his camera lens, Anamitra was smiling. He was courageous, and I thought he showed right through his career a sense of being a true professional. I don't think he ever said no. And it's just that, those were the days that I think there was this special relationship between the reporter and the camera person.
You can see the three militants trying to enter through gate 12. This is the first one who fires over the wall. It was a bullet from his gun that hits my camera lens cap. Second man you see changes his jacket and pulls out a gun. As the third man comes around the van firing. The first terrorist came towards us with his guns blazing. Fortunately, he missed me, but got my camera. My colleague who was standing next to me was not so lucky.
I will miss him, and I'm sure wherever he is, he's smiling and cracking a joke. It's that ever-smiling spirit that defined the man. To Ipshita and the family, my deep condolences. Anamitra will always be with us.
So many memories of so many different shoots with Anamitra that it's almost tough to pick, but I just want to take one particular example which sort of also underlined the sort of a person he was, with that completely unflappable nature and that smile which was always on his face. I think I'm looking back to 1995, which was Charade Sharif in Srinagar at that time. And that was perhaps the first time Anamitra had ever been to Kashmir. And it was at the last minute. We got a call in the morning at 10:30, 11, I think Pranoy called, or maybe even earlier, and saying they burned down Charade Sharif, get to the airport, sort of a thing, and it was 1 hour to go. Anamitra has probably woken up and said, go, we have to go to Kashmir. He'd never been there before. Fly inside, get into a chopper, go straight to Charare Sharif, and we sort of landed there. Anamitra looking around and saying everything had been burnt down, all those guns were there, taking shots. And I was just always struck by the fact that how normal he seemed to find this. It was abnormal even for someone who'd been to Kashmir before like me, but he was completely unflappable, big smile on his face, filming everything that was happening, pointing to guns that were lying around there and getting the right cutaways. And then we went back to Srinagar. The chopper wasn't there. We had to hitch a ride literally in an army bus, which he was absolutely fine with. And then when we get there, I said, let's try and go and find where Yasin Malik is, and he's in Hazratbal. Smile on his face, yeah, sure, let's go. And we reach out there, and there's absolutely crazy stone throwing that is taking place. And I told Anamitra, we got to go across that square, just try and avoid being hit by the stones as we cross that to try and get to where Yasin Malik is. And I'm never going to forget the sight of it. So he's walking there. You would have been expecting him to worry a little bit about his head, but he had this sort of camera like this so that it wouldn't get smashed. And then we went across there and went inside and met Yasin Malik. But when I'm looking at this picture which was there at this memorial and that smile on his face, I'll never forget that smile on his face all the way through. Charare Sharif, army bus, while the stones were coming, and then sitting inside Hazratbal and having a chat with Yasin Malik as if it was the most normal thing to do. Anamitra, we're all going to miss you.
Anamitra was very, very close to me. He was one of my close buddies when I was with NDTV, and I had some great memories with him. When we went to cover the Mother Teresa, funeral in Kolkata, I still remember he was doing a piece to camera with me, for which I took about maybe 10 takes, and I remember Anamitra doing reverse walking for about 5 to 10 minutes while shooting that. He was so talkative. When we used to land for shoots, the first thing that he would do was talk to the cab driver, and they were completely crazy, insane conversations on everything, but he would just strike a rapport immediately with anyone, and he was thoroughly provocative all the time. We had some great moments covering Parliament, going around for shoots. At that time, along with Narendra Gudavali and Dhanpal, Anamitra was one of my, constant choices. If I ever had a choice with the production controllers on who to send come with me for shoots, it would be Anamitra, because it was just absolutely great fun. Lot of love for life, loved food, and I'm just completely shocked that he went away so early. But Anamitra, wherever you are, I remember you. I remember your smile. I remember the great moments that we had together. I'll miss you, my friend.
He was a great survivor and a very happy person. There is one sign-off I always loved to do on my stories, which was with camera person Anamitra Chakladhar, Pallav Bagla for NDTV. With camera person Anamitra Chakladhar in Switzerland, Pallav Bagla for NDTV. Albert Einstein never got a Nobel Prize for this particular formula, even though he discovered it here. In Bern, with camera person Anamitra Chakladhar, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.
We first began our association years ago, in the middle of the night, being called and sent off to Nepal because the entire royal family had been massacred. There we were in the thick of things, battling riot police, stone pelting rioters. And then, of course, the Hartal struck streets of Dhaka, where we decided we would get onto those cycle rickshaws with all our equipment, 2 of them that is, separately, as we made it to the Foreign Office to get that exclusive interview with the Foreign Secretary, with the secret police chasing us. In fact, Anamitra got so upset that he got off the rickshaws when we got to the Indian Embassy and walked up to the secret police, and in Bengali gave them a dressing down to say, leave us alone and let us do our job. Cut to much later, when we were in our last assignment in Nepal for almost 45 days. By then, Anamitra had wisened up. He asked the camera department for protective gear, helmet, and also bulletproof vest. So there we were, back in the thick of things, battling the anti-monarchy protests, where we had the protesters on this one side, the lathi-wielding police on the other, tear gas, rubber bullets, everything, and we were reporting the story right there from ground zero. So here's one shot that Anamitra shot of me, and then here's one in the field. And that really was Anamitra. He gave you that ability to do your job, to shine, and he did it while always having your back.
Anamitra, thank you for helping out a rookie reporter. 1998, the pre-Google era, clueless me, and then Anamitra at a press conference would tell me, that's the Commerce Secretary, that's the Minister of State, this guy speaks well, so go to him after the press conference. You know, half the time, actually most of the time, I couldn't get into the finance ministry. I just couldn't make it past the reception. But when Anamitra was with me, somehow I looked more serious. People took me more seriously. And all the time, cool and calm. Even when we were on our way back from Tokyo, our plane loses a bit of its wing, Mr. Cool and Calm. I think we always cherish those people who help us when we're down. And Anamitra, for that, I'm always, always grateful to you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, Anamitra and I have a whole lot of stories. We have covered stories in so many places for so many years. But it's one of my first stories with him, I think my first time that I went outstation with him, that actually comes to mind. Those were the days when there were infinite budgets, and NDTV had a deal with the Taj chain of hotels. So if we traveled and there was a Taj hotel, we used to stay in the Taj hotel. And this was a story for Star News Sunday. Anamitra and I went to Calcutta city, both of us know very well. And we were to stay in the Taj Bengal. Those were truly the days. Now, Kolkata is also home for me, so I had my grandparents' home as well, but there was always this option of staying in this new fancy, extravagant hotel. And so I thought, you know, maybe I'll spend some time here and then the next day I'll go to my home. So I went into the Taj, and there was this wonderful woman, a Taj executive, who made a beeline for Anamitra, and here I am thinking, why would she do that? I mean, anyhow, she did, and she chatted him up, and she kept talking to him, and I realized that they may actually be something more than a conversation between a Taj professional and an NDTV camera person. There may be something more there. So anyhow, I went into the room. We all went into the room. We sat around. We discussed the shoot and things like that. And this Taj executive wouldn't leave. And I thought to myself, right, I think there's enough I've seen over here, and perhaps I need to move away. Now that Taj executive turned out to be Ipshita, who over the years has been a friend, a co-worker, and of course Anamitra's wife. The two of them made a fantastic couple, and it was wonderful to see them in this relationship before they actually got married.
During my time on Good Morning India, I always looked forward to Anamitra coming home for the shoots. Besides being brilliant behind the lens, he knew so much about food. He had a great palate to match, and we always had good times. Thank you, Anamitra. Thank you for the memories. It's been an honour to know you.
My first memory of Chakla is from 2003, where he was a camera person assigned to me as a producer, and we traveled with the OB van across the length and breadth of Rajasthan to cover the elections. And Chakla, in his charming way, would con me into setting up for the OB every single time, which was pulling out the heavy cable, lugging that heavy tripod and that horrendously heavy ikigami, and setting up for not only day shoots but our night programs. I would crib about the heat. I would crib about why he would make me carry all this heavy equipment. But he taught me how to love my work. He taught me how to love every angle that the camera would take out, and how you could use the camera and get it to speak the way you wanted it to speak. Even after our really long, hot, horrendously tiring days, when we reached a new location or when we had the little bit of time that we did, he would be ready with his camera in hand and saying, Chal producer, let's go take a look at the sights and sounds. Me, I'm completely tired and knackered. I would say, nahi jana mujhe. And he would sit me down and he told me one day, he says, you never know what life throws up at you. And you never know if you will have the chance to have this experience again. So make the best of it and make the most of it. And squeeze out every bit of joy that you can from what you have in front of you. And you know, from what he said in 2003, he lived by that even through his illness. He enjoyed every moment of health and happiness that he could. He savored every moment. He was always very positive. I don't think they make people like that anymore.
He was erudite in a way not many camera persons are, with a wide span of reading, of information, of knowledge, of experiences which he'd share with anybody. Never holding on, giving it out, sharing it. He would talk of chromatic aberrations and Ansel Adams and the politics of the world and music, yes. He'd talk of shutter speeds and Sinatra in the same breath. Being in the Parliament and the Congress and the BJP beat, where in between those spaces where we'd not be working, we'd have those long conversations about this and that and that and this and cabbages and kings. Those recent difficult years which he bore so stoically and with such dignity, never letting his good humor go, never letting it affect him, never letting his pain show. It would have been difficult. It was all born with great dignity and with a smile. I'd put up a recent picture of a sunset on the Brahmaputra just a few days back, and he responded with a high five to that. This was just a day before he passed away, before he left us. And that high five, that upbeat note was what he was. Always upbeat, always looking positive and bright, and always spreading some light around him wherever he went, literally as well, being a camera person. But that's what he was, and all I would say is that high five to you, Chakla.
एक दुखद सूचना आपके साथ साझा करनी है। हम सब के बड़े अजीज कैमरामैन दोस्त अनामित्रा चकलाधर, जो हम लोग के साथ जिंदगी भर कैमरे को लेकर इस पत्रकारिता के जीवन में यात्राएं करते रहे, अब हमारे बीच नहीं हैं।